I don't know if you guys know it, but you're out of toilet paper.
Did you say toilet paper?
Oh, they used handfuls of wadded paper back in the 20s.
I'm happy that you're happy, but the place where you're supposed to have the toilet paper, you got this little shelf with 3 seashells on it.
He doesn't know how to use the 3 seashells.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Pop Culture Rewind. I'm your host, Travis.
And I'm Xavier. Oh, sorry. Let me take this mask off that I wear every day now. And I'm X.
Well, hey, X, how you doing? So nice of you to get out here and do this podcast with me.
Yeah, I had to set my Bubble Boy suit aside to come out and record this.
You have one too? That's good. I thought I was only one.
Oh, thank God I got it years ago when I was in my Jake Gyllenhaal phase, and I wanted to be Bubble Boy, but yeah. Turns out it came in handy.
No kidding. Jeez. So this episode is going to be this is going to be a fun episode. I think we had something planned earlier to do, but this damn coronavirus decided to come along and interrupt everything, including our little schedule for our podcast. So we're taking a break from our normally scheduled podcast, and we're just going to have some fun with this.
Sort of a grab bag episode. Usually at the end of the year, we or Pop Culture Rewind will do a sort of just a random covering the big things that we've been watching lately, and movies that maybe don't deserve a whole focused episode, but something we want to touch upon.
Yeah.
And it's not the end of the year, but since we figured it could be the end of days, and we're not going to live to see the end of the year, now would be a good time to knock some of these out.
Not that we're being pessimistic about the world ending or anything, but
no. I mean, do you think this is it? Is this the X-Men apocalypse that we're facing?
First of all, I wouldn't wish X-Men Apocalypse on anybody, not even my worst enemy, because that movie sucked. But no, I think this is it's an interesting situation that we're in, and it's almost like the elephant in the room. We'd be remiss if we didn't talk about what's going on in the world right now. But you go. You know, it's weird. You go to the grocery stores or whatever, can't find nothing. You know, everybody's, what's with the toilet paper?
I don't know. People, I got that toilet paper memo very late, and I have been rationing it, what I got, and I didn't have a whole lot to begin with, and you know me, I'm a very celebrated pooper, so it sucks to just tear off like 4 little strips or something, and you're trying to just get... You get too small of a slice, and nobody wants to hear this.
Yeah.
But basically, toilet paper is scarce. I don't know where I was going with that.
You know, all I'm going to say is, you know what? Usually in bathrooms, your bathtub is just a few steps away from the toilet. Worst comes to worst, you got a bathtub.
Take a dump in the shower and waffle stomp that shit down the drain. Which might be what we're coming to. Even bidets, dude. I spent like an hour at work online looking at Home Depots and Lowe's, see if they had any bidets. All of them were sold out.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't hear about that one. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Big time. Even
they're
bidets.
High in demand right now.
They're high in, big time. So, but not just that. I mean, yeah, like you said, the food, there's hardly any food to be found. All the produce is gone. Maybe it's there in the mornings, but it's gone by the time I get there.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think it's the panic, and it's people freaking out. And it's monkey see, monkey do, and other people are panicking because they see other people panic.
Yeah.
I even went out and I bought some. Well, I got some bullets just because I was hearing people were buying those up, and I was like, why are they buying up bullets? Are they thinking there's going to be home invasions or people robbing, looting, or violence down the line? And I was like, you know what? Just to feel a little better, let me just little box bullets. I doubt it'll come to that, but it's better to have it not needed than need to not have it. So even I'm succumbing to the monkey see, monkey do thing.
Yeah, and I think that's what it was happening with the grocery store stuff. It's just funny because, you know, down here, right at the onset of all this, I was seeing, like, you know, people after people with, like, multiple things, the toilet paper and water, and I was like, oh, look at these fools. They think it's a hurricane. They think they're supposed to stock up for a hurricane, like we do around here, right? So yeah, it just kept growing and growing and growing, and more people. And I will say this: my wife, she works at a grocery store, and she says, yeah, like after it's still like that in the mornings. There's still people standing out line, waiting for them to open so they can go. They go straight to the toilet paper aisle, or, you know, the water aisle or whatever, and that's it. But she says after that, it filters out throughout the day, but the warehouses are full in all the grocery stores, so there's not going to be a shortage. It's just a matter of them getting the warehouse stock to the stores. That's it, you know. So,
well, I mean, I am this close to taking like a screwdriver and just prying open one of the things at work and taking one of those gigantic rolls that's the size of a pizza and just putting that in my bathroom.
I'm surprised I haven't seen more of that happening, or we haven't heard reports of that happening. But yeah, my thing is, you know, the only part of like anxiety I get from this is not knowing like how far out this thing is gonna be, because, you know, if it's like a hurricane or something, yeah, it's like a week or two or whatever.
Yeah. But, we don't know when the end is.
Yeah, and that's the thing that kind of the unknown, I think, is what's got everybody kind of unraveled here, I think, as far as the timeline goes.
And that freaks me out a little bit too. Like, you know, eventually is my job going to shut down? Am I going to not be able to earn a living anymore? I mean, and that will literally affect my life beyond just, the restaurants are closed or the movies are closed or events, Renaissance festivals and comic group events, things like that are being shut down. And that sucks, but it doesn't really affect my life that much. But losing my job, maybe that's something to be concerned about.
Yeah, and I totally understand that, and that's I'm fortunate enough to be in a job where they're kind of rotating us out. So like half of us are off a week, and then the other half is off the next week. You know, so they kind of rotate us out. But I'm thinking, so like next week, I'm home next week, and I'm getting paid for it, thank God. But like, I don't know how long that can sustain, depending on how long this situation lasts. You know, so that's my only concern.
But, you know, at the end of the day, I'm not really worried because Mike Pence, he's got this. He's in charge of this whole corona thing, and Mike Pence, he's got this. I'm just kidding. I hate that fucker, and he's an idiot. So I'm very worried, actually. At least as far as how the government administration, and this is kind of getting out of hand now, this conversation. But, you know, they're talking about sending stipends to families, you know, checks to sort of cover the losses of people losing their jobs and everything. I don't know if that's really going to happen, but
yeah, it's two checks, $1,200 a person. Yeah, $1,200 a person per adult and $500 for a kid or something like that. But it's supposed to come out like in a couple weeks, I think, is what I heard, like April 6th.
Yeah, pretty soon. Yeah. I don't know. We'll just see how it unfolds.
If you're not working, I don't know what $1,000 is going to do, but I mean, that'll pay your mortgage probably, and then you're stuck with
pay your rent. Yeah, I mean that wouldn't even pay a month's rent. But okay.
Yeah.
But I look forward to listening to this episode a year from now and laughing like, "Whoa! Do you remember when it was crazy there for a little while?" Glad that's over. And if you're stumbling across this episode down the line and you're listening, and maybe you're sort of laughing and looking back like, "Yeah, that was a crazy time that we lived through." And we got through it, as we always do.
This is a moment in time and a moment in history, as I say.
This is unprecedented.
Yeah, definitely. Worldwide. You know, it's not just in a state or a country. It's affecting the world.
This is going to be something that, you know, in a generation now. Remember the coronavirus? You know, what did you do during that era? Yeah, you know, it'll be something we talk about for years to come.
Yeah, and hopefully this will all pan out sooner than later. And
pandemic out. See what I did.
Yeah, but I you know, just got to be positive and just.
It taught the world the definition of pandemic. Words like social distancing are now part of our vocabulary. You know, it's a cultural milestone.
Yeah. So,
but enough of that.
Yeah,
I'm starting to get depressed.
All right,
we're here to talk about some movies.
Yeah, so, and that's why, we're not here to talk all about that, but like I said before, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention it at all. So, moving on. X, what do you got for us today?
Okay. Like I said, since this is not technically an end of the year review, I didn't know what the timeline was and things, but I finally, a couple weeks ago, saw a movie that I would love to talk to you about. I have no idea if you've seen it or if you like it or not, and that was Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I did see it.
You did? Did you see it in theaters?
I may have talked about it on our 2019 end of the year.
Oh, nice. Go fuck yourself. Well, I just recently saw it. Yay or nay? Is it one of his better ones? Is it one of his weaker ones? I have no idea what you think about it.
I'm gonna say it's one of his better ones.
One of his better ones. Okay.
Yeah.
I initially didn't want to talk about it because I felt when it was over, I was like, I don't know what to think. I need to see it a second time to fully absorb it.
Okay.
I didn't know right out the gate it was going to be one of his sort of like Inglourious Bastards, where it's a revisionist version of history, where it changes. It takes an event that we know of in history, and then it changes it, and it sort of presupposes, well, what if this happened instead? I didn't know that's what it was going to be. So the whole time that we're spending with Margot Robbie's Sharon Tate, and it's not really an intimate view. We're not really seeing her do anything. We're mostly just seeing her drive and party and laugh and go to the movies. We're not really learning anything about her. It's like we're observing her. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, what is the point of this? I know what the point of it. It's just so we get somewhat familiar with her. So when she eventually gets murdered at the end of the movie, we'll feel something for her. And then it ends the way it ends. Turns out she doesn't get murdered. They invade Brad Pitt. We get the best scene of the movie. And then I guess she lives happily ever after and all that. But then I started thinking, oh my God, now every time I see this movie, I'm probably just going to fast forward through every Sharon Tate scene. Because there's no point to it anymore.
Is that how you felt the second?
I haven't seen it a second time. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I almost didn't want to touch on it yet because I haven't seen it a second time yet. But that's what I think I'm going to do. It makes those scenes kind of benign and pointless.
It's interesting that you say that because when I was watching it, about halfway into the movie, because this movie, in case you haven't seen it, it goes back and forth. Like we get a lot of Brad Pitt and Leo. And then we have a little bit of Margot Robbie's character. And it kind of goes back and forth, kind of shifts. But the Margot Robbie stuff isn't a whole lot. But this whole time I'm thinking, when is this going to connect? Because there's no... The scenes with Margot Robbie as Sharon Tate, there's no connection to Brad Pitt's character.
Other than being neighbors.
Yeah, but we don't... But even then, there's no point to anything.
Yeah, so it feels a little disjointed. Like it's two separate movies existing at the same time.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm saying. I needed to see it a second time to know how it goes to really fully absorb this one. But when it ended, I felt a little dissatisfied because I was like, "Oh, well, I felt like you wasted a lot of my time then." Or maybe had I known that going in or something. I don't know. That's why I need to see it a second time. But that being said, I thought Leo and Brad, they were both great. Brad won an Oscar for this role.
Yes. Yeah.
Best supporting actor. I don't even know. He might have even been the lead character.
Yeah.
He was the assistant. He was clearly subservient to Leo's character. But as far as screen time goes, I haven't done the math. But I think they were both equally co-stars.
I want to say, yeah. Matter of fact, I kind of get the sense that I saw Brad more in this movie than Leo. That's what I feel like, anyways, when I'm thinking about this movie right now.
Did you feel the movie was too long? That's a big critique a lot of people say when they talk about this is really long.
It was pretty long, but I didn't find myself bored or not liking what I was seeing.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing about Quentin's movies is he's really good at making a person doing just a mundane action like feeding his dog almost entertaining. And that was the thing about Jackie Brown is I didn't like it the first time I saw it in the theaters when I was a teenager. And then it was like a year later I saw it again. I was like a little better. And then I saw it again a third time and I was like, oh, okay, I finally got it. It took me like 3 times to appreciate Jackie Brown. I think this might be similar. There's a lot of, for the lack of a better word, slow moments of just actors just sitting around doing nothing.
Right.
But Quentin has a way of making that very fascinating to just watch people. It's like you're a fly on the wall watching this person. It's almost voyeuristic. So I wasn't bored at all during this movie. Maybe the Sharon Tate stuff, I felt a little bored because I'm not learning anything about her character. She's literally just driving in a car or going to the movies.
It's like there's a build-up for because there's like these scenes that you're talking about. Yeah, she's just driving or going to the movie or something, but we just get bits and pieces of it, and it doesn't really go anywhere until like the finale of the movie, really.
No, like maybe they're there to make us think that she's gonna die. But I would love to see a version of this where all of her is pretty much cut out. Like maybe we see her pull up with Roman Polanski as they're arriving home, and he's like, "There's my new neighbors. That's the director of Roman Polanski and Sharon Tate live there. We've established that. I know the history of that incident very pretty well. So trust the audience to know that we know the history the way it did with Inglourious Basterds. We know that Hitler, how it happened, and maybe it'll just feel a little bit tighter. But that being said, I like I said, I wasn't bored. I enjoyed the movie. I thought Brad Pitt was hilarious, very charismatic. Leo was good as being this sort of washed up TV actor struggling with trying to just stay in the limelight. Leo was great. But both of them worked with Quentin before, so it was cool to see them come back and work with them again. What do you think about the Bruce Lee scene?
That's the controversial moments, the scene that everybody's came out talking about. I liked it. I'm not offended or anything like that if that's what you're getting at. But I thought it was enjoyable. I liked the guy that played Bruce Lee, and just the interaction with Brad Pitt's character. Well, he had a funny line like. My hands. Bruce Lee's talking about his hands being lethal weapons. If I kill you with my hands, I go to jail. And then what did Brad Pitt say? That little he had a funny line.
If anybody kills anybody in a fight, they go to jail. It's called manslaughter. I think you're just using that excuse to not fight or something like that. But yeah, Brad does put. But it's like, I mean, I wish I knew a little bit more about Brad's character. They touch on that he killed his wife, but we didn't really fully. Did he or not? Like, was he really guilty? Like, was it done as murder? Or did he get away with it? Or was it an accident? We don't really know. He goes toe to toe, like with Bruce fucking Lee. Yeah. So this guy is like an amazing fighter. Leo, when he's trying to get him a job, he's like, he's a damn war hero for crying out loud. It's like we get all these little touches on who this character is, but none of it gets really fleshed out. But he has an awesome dog.
No shit, right?
that I can't do it, but like that noise he does. Yeah. And then when the dog, like the home invasion scene, best scene of the fucking movie.
Oh yeah.
He's on acid at the time. He's all amused, like, "Hey, I know you. Your name is Rex or something." This guy's got a gun on him, and he's just like, "You were on a horse," and he's having a ball, and he just kicks their ass, and then Leo fucking torches the chick. It's like, whoa, where did this movie? It sort of changed the tone in a great way, though.
Yeah. It is like it got cranked up to like 11 on that final scene, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was a very entertaining scene. All hell's breaking loose inside the house, and Leo's in the back floating in the pool, not knowing, just being oblivious to what's going on until somebody goes flying out the window, and then he gets his blowtorch. He goes out, gets his blowtorch, and just like you said, torches that motherfucker.
Yeah, awesome movie, great cast, a lot of little roles, but Al Pacino's in this. He could, barely, kind of like one juicy scene, but Al Pacino's in this. Super awesome. I enjoyed it. I put it somewhere until I see it again, I put it somewhere in the middle. It's not one of his weaker ones. I don't know if it's as brilliant as his best work, because I got to revisit it again, knowing the story and wondering, is he wasting my time misleading me? Is he almost intentionally misleading me for the sake of the shock, which will work one time? Yeah,
that'd be a good observation for the next viewing of it, because I've only seen it once myself. But going over it now, then I can say that's an interesting take on that, as far as, was that a waste of time? I mean, even if it was, I don't have your outtake on it of, did you waste my time? Because if I was entertained by it overall, then I don't think that is a waste of time. But that's just,
well, you were the first time, but then you go in, you realize that the Sharon Tate is barely a character in the movie, with no character developed, no character arc, nothing.
Right?
Are you going to be bored watching her for so long?
maybe in my remembrance of this movie, I don't know, because when I'm thinking about the movie, I don't remember her scenes being that long or anything that took up like 30 minutes or something like a Quentin scene.
I mean, in the beginning, like they go to the Playboy Mansion, and there's a whole scene with Damian Lewis as who is he? Is it Paul Newman? Who is he supposed to be? But he points. You see her. She used to date him, and then she dumped him for him. And he breaks down their whole love triangle sort of a thing, so we can know what happened. We can know the history of her, Roman Polanski, and J.C. Sebring, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And Damian Lewis is great in the little role, but they really just put a character in just to give backstory to the characters of Roman Polanski and Sharon Tate, and it doesn't really matter at the end of the day.
Yeah. But
it's entertaining and it's cool. And Damian Lewis was it Paul? No, it was fucking what's his name? God, from The Great Escape. No, not whatever.
Steve McQueen.
Steve McQueen. Yeah, there you go. And that's cool to see an actor play Steve McQueen telling the story of Roman Polanski and all that kind of stuff, and that's fun. But does it really add to the story at all? Which is really about this TV actor and his stuntman assistant.
Well, if you break it down like that, no, it doesn't. Like if you're just focusing just on that one story, no, you don't need that movie, or you don't need that scene at all.
Yeah. Anyways, at the end of the day, I liked it.
Yeah.
But I don't want to get too bogged down because we've got a lot more movies to talk about.
Yeah, and I think what I did talk about initially, I want to say it was in my top 5 or top 3 or top 5 of Quentin movies for me.
Oh,
so I really
liked it that much.
But now, that was right after I saw it, so maybe I was riding high on just watching.
You're still pumping the endorphins, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there's another filmmaker who put out another movie last year. I think it was last year. A filmmaker we both enjoy. Like Quentin, we've dedicated a whole episode to this filmmaker. And that was Kevin Smith, who came out with a brand new installment in the Viewers universe, a brand new Jay and Silent Bob adventure, Jay and Silent Bob Reboot.
Yeah,
you finally saw this like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, and when you say brand new, that's is it? Because it's basically Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. He's admitted that. Like he's like straight up said, "I'm stealing my own fucking movie, same jokes and all." And he wasn't kidding. I was watching this movie, I was like, "Holy shit!" He wasn't. This is straight up a remake. Very much so, like
it's a reboot. It's in the title.
Yeah.
But does that absolve him of responsibility? It's like, oh, if you make the joke yourself at your own expense, now nobody else can make that same joke because I already did. You know what I mean?
To an extent, I think. But this is putting it to the test.
Yeah. Did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed parts of it.
There's stuff to be enjoyed. I gotta admit, the biggest like you said, the Matt Damon Loki scene was probably the first time you actually laughed.
Yeah.
I think I had the same thing. I was like,
really?
Like I finally laughed out loud, and it was like 40 minutes into the movie or something like that. But Matt Damon, who he sort of has just a one scene cameo as Loki. He sort of fills in the gap of what happened after Jay and Silent Bob or Dogma. Yeah, because he supposedly died, but then he has this one pun.
I can't remember what the pun is, but I can't remember what the joke was, but it made me go,
he got reborn as someone else, so that's his reborn identity. Boom! Like that's how he delivers it. That was fun. I liked seeing Ben Affleck finally come back to the franchise as Holden McNeil, and he wraps up his story and he explains parenthood in a real I'll take off my hat to Kevin Smith, who wrote that scene, the way he describes being a father, and he uses movies as an analogy. He your children are like a reboot of yourself in your life. And I was like, whoa, it almost made me want to have a kid. It was a really well written scene, and then as they're leaving, he's talking to the little girl. He's like, "They're gone, girl," and he just starts doing movie puns about his own movies that he's done. So he even says, "Argo, fuck yourself." That was a great scene. There's a scene at the end when there's this big riot breaking out and everybody's fighting, like terrorists have basically taken over a Comic-Con, and Jay stands up and goes, "The Vagheris!" And I lost it and I know this because he's basically saying he speaks Valerian like Daenerys when she tells all the Unsullied to rise up against. And I'm like, and he says the whole thing, and you're like, you know what? At a Comic-Con, if there's a setting to use that line that people would understand the context and the translation, it would be at a Comic-Con.
Right.
And they all understood. And then Kevin Smith, who plays himself in this, because Kevin Smith, the director, is now in the View Askew universe. Okay. He even goes, he just spoke fucking Valerian. I got a big kick out of that. There's fun moments to be had. But I think the movie takes a really deep dive as soon as Harley Quinn Smith gets introduced.
Yeah.
I do not think she's got what it takes to be an actress. Obviously, she got this gig because of her father. It's
well, her only gigs are in her father's movies, I think.
Well, it's ironically enough, she was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Was she?
She was in the scene, where all the creepy people are, the ranch scene. Lena Dunham is there, and she's just one of the random people standing.
Oh, okay, cool. Maybe I missed that. Oh.
Yeah, you probably did, because there's like a dozen people on screen just standing around. You know, when Brad Pitt's like, changed my tire, and the guy's like, no, and he just punches him, and he just keeps punching him. Like, Brad Pitt is such a fucking badass in that movie. I thought he was going to change his tire, and then he throws it, the fucking wrench, like, you change it. I was like, oh shit. And the guy says no, and he just kicks his ass. Ugh. Good for him that he got the Oscar, yeah. I knew he won the Oscar first, and it felt a little like, oh, they're just giving Brad Pitt an Oscar because he's Brad Pitt and he deserves one by now. And then I saw the movie, I was like, well, shit, that was actually a good performance.
Yeah.
But back to Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah.
It was really rehashing a lot of old shit. It was a little depressing seeing how old Banky or was it Brody? It was Brody.
Brody, yeah.
Yeah, how old they've all gotten, and Kevin Smith is now all slim and shit. There's nothing funny about an in-shape man. And
also, just seeing the years haven't been kind to Jay Muse. I know he's drugs.
He's lived a life, man.
Yeah.
He's had a few hard years.
Drugs are a son of a bitch, I'll say that. But I don't know. It was just, you kind of hit it right on the head there where you said it's kind of depressing to see some of the way they kind of aged over the years. And ironically, Kevin Smith is like the best one out of all of them, but
he's aged the best.
Yeah. It was just the part where Harley Quinn and her little buddies all got together and stole the van. Dude, I immediately fell asleep. I had to watch it again. I fell asleep, and then I woke up at the end of the movie, and then I had to rewatch it again. All because of those characters that they were just going on. And I was like, what are you talking about? I knew what they were doing. They're doing the whole... Well, they mentioned in the movie, they thought there was the three girls as diamond thieves, but it turned out to be something else. But
yeah,
anyway.
It was every time she tries to act, and she really goes for it. She goes for it in this movie. She tries to give all the range, all the big speeches of we all have something in common. What? None of us knew our father. I was like, boo fucking who? You have two moms. You live in you have a good. What the fuck? That I had to join a support group of these girls. You have no idea what I've been through. Oh, cry me a foot. I'm doing a little violin right now. She was just really, really bad. And good for you as a father, Kevin Smith. You're giving your kid a shot. Mm-hmm. But I don't think she has what it takes. I don't know. As soon as she showed up, I think the movie came to a screeching halt.
And
I think it was hard to stick with it.
I think it kind of picked up when they got into the Comic-Con.
And she left, and then they meet Holden, and then it feels like a good old school Kevin Smith movie when it's just Jay and Silent Bob and Holden McNeil talking. Because that scene goes on for a little while, and then Alyssa Jones comes in, and then they bring in the little girl who is actually Jason Mewes' daughter in real life. Right. And that's one of the best scenes in the whole movie because it's minus Harley Quinn.
Behind the scenes, this is the first time, I don't know if a lot of people know, but Ben Affleck and Kevin Smith had a falling out years ago. And this is Ben Affleck's, they patched things up, I think, a year or two ago. And this is the first time they've actually worked together. And I think that scene with them...
Since Jersey Girl, I think.
I think so, yeah. And that's not really a VSQ movie. It's just whatever. But...
it's a Kevin Smith movie.
I wouldn't. Oh, that's not. Is that in the VSQ verse? I don't think it is.
It's not. It's not in the universe, but it's a movie directed by Kevin Smith, starring Ben Affleck. That's the last time they worked together. I'm just
right. Oh yeah.
Giving you a timeline. Yeah.
But so there was some significance of him being in this movie. That's the point I was trying to make on that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there was a while there a few years ago when I would listen to a lot of Kevin Smith's podcasts. I haven't listened to one in a long time, but he was always, he'd be talking, obviously he talks nerdy shit. He would talk about the Batman movies, and he would always emphasize, and, I'm not just saying, like, I know Ben, I know him once upon a time, but I haven't spoken to him in years. He would always emphasize, before he went into a whole rant about Batman v Superman, something like, yes, I knew Ben once upon a time in Hollywood, but I don't know him anymore. Just keep coming back to that movie, man. It's a good movie. At the end of the day, I mean, I haven't been a huge Kevin Smith fan for a while. I like his early stuff, obviously, and this was kind of like on par with his later stuff. There's things to be enjoyed about it if you're a fan. There's moments, there's fun scenes, everything like that. But is it as good as like the Clerks and Mallrats and Chasing Amy era Kevin Smith? Probably not. And it is a little too self-aware, and it uses as an excuse to sort of pick at low-hanging fruit, sort of obvious jokes.
Yeah,
like there's a scene where Jay and Silent Bob and Harley Quinn are at the Comic-Con, and Kevin Smith comes up to the panel, and she makes this whole meal of a scene where she grabs Silent Bob and looks at him and looks at Kevin Smith and, hey, you look just like him. Well, no shit, because it's Kevin Smith. Like, we get it. That's low-hanging fruit. But they make a whole meal of that scene,
It would have been better if they didn't acknowledge the fact that he looked like him,
Yeah. or make it like a throwaway line, but she has this big, effusive, what, and I'm like, dude, like, that's such an obvious joke. It's too obvious. Don't go for it. But he goes for it. And that's the difference between, like, early Kevin Smith and later Kevin Smith, is he goes for the really obvious jokes and he spoon-feeds it to you.
Yeah.
He'll make a reference, like a movie like he said something about the dishes are done, man. I've been saying the dishes are done, man, since I was a little kid. All my friends, we still say it all the time.
Right.
And then he has to point and go, Keith Coogan, and don't tell mom the babysitter's dead. Like, dude, you didn't need to tell me what the reference was. Just give me the line, and the nerds will get it. And if they don't, well, they wouldn't appreciate it anyways. Right. And that's what I'm saying. He spoon feeds you. He doesn't trust his audience to be nerdy enough anymore, like he used to back in the day. No Time for Love, Dr. Jones. Hey, that's a line from Temple of Doom. Don't in Clerks, he would just make the reference, and we got it.
Yeah,
because
that's a good point.
Like, he's a fellow nerd like us. Now he has to explain it because he's trying to appeal to everybody, I guess.
That's a good take on that. There was something off about his the writing, but just his sense of humor, I guess, has changed. And I think you hit it right there. I think that's what it is. Like back in the day,
I boiled it all down to one joke or two jokes.
Well, because like you said, back in the day, he would just do a reference to something, and if you got it, you got it. But now he does explain like the joke and everything, and it's just that's good. Yeah, I'll concur with that assessment.
But do you concur? Okay.
Let me ask you this: have you seen like his other movies lately, like Tusk or Yoga Hosers or anything like that?
I saw Tusk. That's the one where Dustin Long plays a podcaster who gets turned into a walrus.
Yes.
I did not care for that at all. I think I saw some of Yoga Hosers. I might have seen it all, but I think I just tuned out halfway because I don't remember I don't remember how it ends. I just remember it had Johnny Depp's daughter and Harley Quinn Smith in it. And then he did this other one where that was Yoga Hosers. See, I don't even know. Not really. He started to do this Canadian franchise of
a Winnipeg series or whatever you called it, or Winnipeg trilogy.
And they didn't really pan out. And nobody saw them. I barely saw them, and that was only just out of respect that I have for his 90s work.
Yeah. But and before that, he actually did like I don't want to say horror movie, but he did like a thriller. It was that Red State movie.
Red State, yeah.
Red State, yeah. That was all right.
I've actually never seen that.
It was different. It was Kevin Smith, but it was very toned down, and it was. I don't think if you knew Kevin Smith directed, I don't think you could have said, "Oh, this is a Kevin Smith movie." At least if I'm, remembering that correctly. But it's been years since I've seen it. But
you ever see Cop Out?
No. Of all the wonderful reviews about it, I just never wanted to see it. So.
Yeah, it sounds terrible, but part of me is just morbidly curious to see if it's as bad as everybody says. I mean, I know so much about the movie because Kevin Smith's talked about it so much. How much he hates working with Bruce Willis. Yeah. How difficult it was, doing a studio film with Bruce Willis as a star who he hated. So I know so much about it, but I've never actually seen it. But
isn't that the Cop Out? That whole fiasco. Isn't that what got him to step away from like Hollywood movies, and he just does his own thing now? Ever since that movie, I think that's what it is. Like he just got fed up with doing movies for a studio as opposed to doing movies that he wanted to do for himself. I think that cop out was.
I think he still did Zack and Miri Make a Porno, which I think I said once. It felt like him wanting to be Judd Apatow.
Yeah, I think he said that.
He was really like Judd Apatow and all of his minions. You know, he's sort of a big guy in Hollywood, and he branches out a lot. He's worked with a lot of funny people, Seth Rogen, all those kind of guys. He was so emulating what Judd Apatow was doing with the R-rated comedies, and he even cast regulars, Judd Apatow regulars like Craig Robinson and Seth Rogen, Elizabeth Banks, and all the regular Judd Apatow people. He was even casting them, and even so, I think he was. Was that a studio movie? Was that Miramax? I think.
Still,
Before.
I want to say yes.
Oh, by the way, Harvey Keitel, fucking convicted, 12 years. He's 78, 12 years.
Harvey Weinstein, not Harvey Keitel.
What did I say?
You said Harvey Keitel.
Oh shit!
I was like, what? Harvey Keitel?
Harvey
What
Keitel's
happened to
awesome.
him?
Harvey Weinstein. Yeah, he's going down.
Yeah.
But I think that was a Miramax movie.
Now he's got coronavirus. I think they said that today.
Harvey Weinstein's got coronavirus.
Yeah.
Oh, couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
I know, right? But yeah, that guy's gonna die in prison.
God willing. Hey, knock on wood.
Yeah. But
okay, well, I mean, we're going down a Kevin Smith rabbit hole of other shit he does. We were just supposed to talk about Jade Silva. So we got a few more things to talk about. There was a movie I just saw like a week ago called Knives Out.
Ah, yes, good movie.
Yeah. What?
Good movie. Yep.
Good movie. You liked it.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Rian Johnson. Oh, what? No, I was really avoiding this movie because of Rian Johnson.
Really?
The writer-director.
Right.
Not just because he wrote and directed and ruined The Last Jedi, which he did.
Yeah.
And he fucked it. And not even just that. Since The Last Jedi came out and it was terrible, he's gone on and tried to like revise. He's tried to pull a Quentin, trying to revise history himself by saying like, oh, but Empire Strikes Back, nobody liked that at the time, which is a fucking lie. And stop trying to drag Empire down to raise your movie up. He's an asshole, and he spells his name like a fucking asshole. So I didn't want to watch the movie, but not even just because of the Last Jedi. I'm not really a fan of his movies. I've seen Brick one time. I don't think I'll ever probably see it again. I've seen Brothers Bloom. That one's okay, but mostly on the charisma of Mark Ruffalo and Adrian Brody. And again, I've only ever seen that twice, and I fucking own it. And I haven't seen it in like 10 years. Looper, I didn't care for at all. I think it's kind of stupid if you stop for 2 seconds and think about the logic. So I'm not a huge Rian Johnson fan, so that's what put me off. But then I came across it recently, and I thought, you know what, let me just check it out, see what the buzz, because it was getting some good buzz. Mm-hmm. And it had a good cast. I was really intrigued more so by the cast than anything else.
Right.
Spoiler alert, though, if you haven't seen Knives Out, we're going to talk about... It was kind of obvious what the plot was, I mean, who the killer was, I think. It's a whodunit. It's a murder on the train, Agatha Christie whodunit. Clue. Whodunit. And it's kind of obvious right from the start because Chris Evans is probably the biggest movie star in the whole movie, and he's not even in it until like halfway through.
Right.
So for him to show up halfway through as a character, you're like, well, it's because he's the killer. Duh. It's kind of just obvious. But had nothing to do with the plot, nothing to do with the script. But by the casting, by the virtue of it's Chris Evans, it makes it obvious. And that's how I look at movies. And I've been accused of overthinking things. That's how I approached it, and I figured it out in 2 seconds when I realized Chris Evans is not in this movie. It's been like half an hour, and we've barely even seen him. So he's going to be the killer, right? It was like that. That's how I approached it.
Well, I didn't overthink it like you did.
Did you think he was a good guy when they're having lunch and he's like, tell me everything? And then the main chick, Ana de Armas, who's gorgeous, but really boring. She has no character. She has no character arc. There's nothing about... Describe her character to me.
Well, I think, isn't that by design in this movie? Like, she's supposed to be like this...
One-dimensional?
Yeah, I think, right? She's supposed to be...
Why? Why am I supposed to follow this chick on the journey if she has no character? She's a plot device. She's not a character. She's really boring.
Well, yeah, but I think that's by design, though. I
Bad
don't.
sign.
I guess I don't. But so here's the thing. Like, I was hesitant to go support this movie because of Ryan Johnson, but I was thinking about it and I was like, okay, it's first of all it's a murder mystery flick, and I like murder mystery flicks. I'm a sucker for it. Like if it's a murder mystery, I'll go check it out just to go for the ride, right? But I was thinking, okay, in Last Jedi, she did a lot of swerves in that movie for the sake of swerves. Like, you didn't think something was going to happen, like Luke just tossing his lightsaber and stupid shit like that. Like, that shit doesn't work in Star Wars, but I was thinking back in my mind, okay, that shit might work on his own, like something that he's just doing on his own that's not conflicting with a whole other franchise, right? That's my mentality that I had going in there. It's like, okay.
That's fair.
Yeah. So, but in going into it, I did have I had my guard up a little bit, and by the end of the movie, I was like, okay, it wasn't so bad. You know, it was fine. But it
was okay. I mean, it was. I'm not saying it's a terrible movie. I tend to just I jumped right on the negative aspects of it because fuck Ryan Johnson. I really hate how he's gone on record and accusing the fans of being wrong for disliking his movie on Twitter and things like that, and yeah, he's kind of a dick. So that's why I was like, yes, I was prepared to hate this. I would had it been a good movie, I would have been like, yeah, okay, it's fine. But like I said, the big twist was a little duh to me. But again, it was more of the virtue of I understand movies, I understand Hollywood, I understand actors and their status and their salaries and things like that. Christopher Plummer was actually pretty good in this. I liked him.
I like Daniel Craig in this movie a lot.
It takes like 5 minutes to get used to a Southern accent, but once you do, you're kind of on board, and he's kind of fun.
Did you see Daniel Craig in what was that movie?
Logan
called?
Lucky.
Logan Lucky. Yeah. Did you see that movie?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you think of him in that one?
That's a good movie. Adam Driver and Channing Tatum and Riley Keough. That's a fun movie.
It is fun.
It's like a heist movie. I don't know if that did really well. I never hear anybody talk about Logan Lucky, but that's pretty good.
Almost
Steven
like
Soderbergh, who did it, and we know he can do heist movies because he did the Ocean's 11 movies. So he knows a good heist movie, and it's basically like a Southern fried Ocean's 11. Is basically what Logan Lucky is.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah,
but there's some fun to be had, and you got Adam Driver in it as yeah. I recommend Logan Lucky, and Daniel Craig doing the accent again threw me off for a little while.
Yeah.
But you get used to it and you move past it.
Okay. Anyway, I just thought that was when I thought of that accent that he was using, I thought of him in Logan Lucky. So,
yeah, he's starting to take. You know, I say Chris Evans is the biggest actor in it, and you might say, well, Daniel Craig, but I mean, other than Logan Lucky, what have you seen him in beyond James Bond since he became James Bond?
Well, now hold on, I see what your point is, but yeah, he's basically James Bond. But with Chris Evans, yeah, he's just Captain America. But I think. Popularity.
I don't think he's just Captain America.
Well, it's I'm hold on, give me a sec here, because like whatever he's popular on, like Captain America and MCU, the popularity is like way up here. So no matter how big like a franchise is, like say you got a James Bond, would I guess MCU be more popular?
It's like they each have the thing that if either one of them were to, God forbid, to die tomorrow, the first line of the obituary was James Bond, Captain America.
Right.
That would be the thing they're most associated with.
Yeah.
But I can list a bunch of shit Chris Evans has done, you know, beyond that, Losers and Snowpiercer and Iceman and things like that. I can barely think of anything Daniel Craig has done. Can you? Beyond Logan Lucky, name something he's done since he's become James Bond. Name a movie he's been in.
Knives Out.
So you can't even think of anything, yeah. So Chris Evans is like the huge star of this, and but the virtue that he's not even in it until halfway through the movie is sort of a big red flag. Like, well, duh.
Yeah. And plus, he's playing like he plays like an asshole at the start, and then he's acting like he's buddy with her, and then it goes back and forth. But you kind of I see what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. Although Ana de Armas is painfully gorgeous in this movie and everything she does, and she's actually a new Bond girl in the upcoming Bond movie if we ever get it. because it's been postponed thanks to this fucking COVID-19 bullshit.
Yeah, you want to talk about that real quick? Because this whole thing it's affecting everything, not just with us, just individuals, but also industries around the world. It's affecting everything, movie industries included.
Are movie theaters still open where you are?
I know AMC, they reduced the capacity to 50%.
Yes, I can literally. I'm pulling my shutter, my curtain open. I can see an AMC theater. Like, I live that close to one. I can walk to it. This is my movie I go to is AMC, and yeah, they're doing the 50% capacity now, so everybody can socially distance themselves from other moviegoers.
Which, you know what? I'm okay with that because I don't like being crammed in a theater anyways. If I got 50% less assholes around me while I'm watching a movie.
If there's one good thing to come out of this coronavirus, it's emptier theaters. But yeah, No Time to Die, the next James Bond flick, we've been talking about James Bond for a while, was slated to come out April 10th. It's been postponed. We don't know when. Quiet Place and Black Widow were supposed to come out in May 1st. Those have been postponed. Mulan, fucking the live action Mulan, which I have my issues with this Disney readapting shit, but this one might have a potential to be readapted. That's getting postponed. It was supposed to come out March 27th. New Mutants, which has been delayed for how many fucking years at this point, is now also it was finally ready to come out April 3rd, and now that's also. It's like,
can you imagine?
Maisie Williams is going to be on Social Security by the time this fucking movie comes out.
Can you imagine being like the cast and crew of this movie? It's like, yes, we're fine. We got a release date April 3rd, 2020. Finally, this movie's going to come out. And then like 2 weeks before it, there's a whole worldwide pandemic. We're not going to release your movie.
The MCU will have mutants before this movie comes out.
Yeah.
Really curious to see how they handle that.
And now also movies that have just recently come out, since nobody went to the movies this past week. These movies are already starting to show up on demand, like Onward and I think The Hunt. Like, you can already get these movies. I think Emma also. Did that just come out also, Emma?
I think that was in the list of being postponed, but maybe they did.
Maybe I'm getting that mixed up with another movie. But anyway, yeah, you could go on Amazon and your on-demand services, and you can already get them. You can rent them. Check this out. You can rent them for $20. I'm not.
Jesus.
Renting, not owning, just renting for $20.
Like a Blu-ray I could get for $20,
right?
And own it, yeah, with a digital copy and a regular DVD thrown in just for funsies, and a little liner notes and some postcards and some bumper stickers. So I bought Spaceballs on DVD on Blu-ray just because it came with bumper stickers.
Did it really?
Yeah, it has the "We Break for Nobody" that the ship has. It has the "I Heart Uranus" that was Lone Star had, and then there's one that I'm gonna put on my car. It just says "Spaceballs," the bumper sticker. So I got it at a half-price book, so I can open it, and I was like, "Oh fuck, I'm buying this just to get the swag."
I gotta go look that up now. Shit.
Yeah, it's fun. But yeah, Knives Out. I think it just also speaks that Ryan's voice and me just don't connect. Like I said, I've seen all of his movies, and all of them are like a little. I just don't click with this dude. The movie reminded me a little bit of this movie that came out last year, maybe in the summer of last year, called Ready or Not.
Ah, yes.
Did you see that one?
Yes.
It was like this girl from a more humble upbringing who's sort of being thrust amongst this morally compromised, old money, wealthy family, and how she has to deal and cope with them. And that is a way better movie. It's a way more fun movie with a much more likable leading actress.
It's Samara a crazier movie for sure. I'll give you that.
It's a better movie, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody talked about that movie a whole lot. It kind of flew under the radar.
Yeah.
But everybody, let's all bend over backwards to suck Knives Out's dick. But I was like, dude, Ready or Not, it's a little similar, but it's better. And Samara Weaving is fantastic as the lead. And I think she would have been a great Ahsoka Tano.
Oh, you think so, huh? Well,
I think she'd be a great anything, really. I'm really all about her. Did you see her in The Babysitter on Netflix?
No, I didn't.
It's a Netflix movie called The Babysitter. I highly recommend it.
I think
on the strength of her, she's really great. She's gorgeous and funny and cool. She's really good at being, and she did a little bit of this in Ready or Not, of being like, sort of the way Jenny McCarthy when she was hosting Singled Out. Like, I'm like a guy, I'm like a hot chick who could hang out with the boys, you know?
Yeah.
I'm into nerdy shit, and I like the things that boys like, and I'm that approachable kind of girl, even though I'm fucking sexy. She kind of has that vibe about her in everything she kind of does. She was in 3 Billboards, and she fucking, every scene she was in, she stole it. From Frances McDormand, she's stealing scenes in 3 Billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri. I keep an eye on her, but I think she'd be a good Ahsoka.
Well, it's funny you should say that because we have some breaking news this week. That's
This just in.
Yeah, this just in.
This just in. I just been handed this. That long ticking paper. Wait, that's for like the stock market, right? I don't know.
Yeah. No, we got some news that Mandalorian season 2 just cast a live. They're gonna bring in Ahsoka Tano.
Tano.
What'd I say?
Tono. Ahsoka Tano. Oh. Who the fuck is that?
Ahsoka.
Keep her name out of your mouth, you son of a bitch, if you can't get it right. I love Ahsoka.
Ahsoka. No, so they're gonna cast the live action Ahsoka in season 2 of Mandalorian, and she's gonna be played by none other than Rosario Dawson. So,
yeah, okay. Obviously, I love Ahsoka as a character. We did a Clone Wars episode where I fucking, gush all over how much I love the character of Ahsoka. I like Rosario Dawson. I do. She's got a strength about her, which I think is as far as the thought decision goes. Hey, she's a strong woman who plays strong characters. Just get her. But I'm not feeling this one.
Really? Okay.
And it's ironic that it's like she's got a strength about her, and that was the whole thought process behind her voicing Wonder Woman. She's voiced Wonder Woman in a few DC animated movies.
Yeah.
She's also voiced Artemis, a different Amazon, in another DC animated movie. And it's like, well, because she's a strong woman, then she'll bring some strength to the role, and that's what we want. And it's like they don't think beyond that. But I never really felt her as Wonder Woman. I didn't think it was a good choice. And I'm not sure how I feel about this. The thing about Ahsoka is she's... Oh, gosh. I don't even know. What do you think of it?
Well, let me ask you this. Do you want to see a live-action Ahsoka?
I mean, yes, but not in The Mandalorian.
You got to go back and watch... You're going to have to watch Mandalorian at some point.
I saw the pilot.
I know you saw the pilot. You don't like it because it mentioned Life Day. I know.
I mean, it's so dumb. Like, what? Okay, he lands on a planet and he needs to learn how to ride from some alien, and so he can venture. Why didn't you just fucking land your ship on the other side of the valley? Why do you need to learn to? Why do we need to spend like 20 minutes of you learning how to ride like a cowboy to get through this valley when you could have just landed over there?
Because
we need to really make this feel like Western. I saw the pilot and I was like, yeah. I'll give it a chance eventually one day, but I was like, I'm not jumping on this moving train right now at the moment.
Okay. You're lost. But okay, so you're saying you do want to see her as a live action version, just not on this show. So you
and maybe with maybe with Samara Weaving or somebody, I don't know, or a better actor. No offense to Rosario Dawson, I do like her. She's beautiful, but I don't know. I'm just not feeling it.
So I had to go back and revisit the last few times we saw Ahsoka chronologically, and I went to the last episode of Rebels, where it takes place after the original trilogy, and we see
her and Sabine go off to find Ezra.
Yeah, but and the reason I'm bringing that up is because that's like the oldest we've seen Ahsoka, right? Because she's got the hood and whatever this staff she has or some shit. So I wonder if they kind of, well, she's not aged up, but I mean, she's going to be older Ahsoka.
When does The Mandalorian take place in Star Wars timeline?
Mandalorian takes place after the original trilogy.
After Jedi?
Yes.
But before Force Awakens?
Yes. Gotcha.
So she's still around. She'd be a little older. Rosario Dawson, age-wise, yeah, okay. I'm a little apprehensive. We'll see. I'll have to wait and see. She might nail it. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe.
I'll be the first one to say I was wrong.
cautiously optimistic. How about that?
Fair enough.
Yeah.
As I.
Yeah.
Anywho.
Oh, speaking of Ahsoka, I've been watching the new season of Clone Wars. They finished up their first little story arc, the first 4 episodes, which is about.
Oh, they're doing it the same way?
Yeah. So it's
okay.
The first 4
I was wondering
episodes is
about
about the Bad Batch of troopers, and then now episode 5 just aired this week, and it's the first story part of the return of Ahsoka also. So it's been
She hasn't been in it so far?
Episode 5 is the first time we see her.
Oh, okay. I thought she would have been... Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I figured they would have... Because they teased her in the trailer,
right.
and I think people would tune in and be like, Ahsoka, and then to wait 5 episodes to whip her out.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool. I'm kind of waiting for that to be done with, and then I'll just binge it.
Yeah.
I can't do week to week anymore. I've evolved. Week to week is for the birds. As far as I'm concerned, they're just doing their job. I don't tip. But another movie that came out that I kind of want to talk about a little bit. You've seen it. Ford versus Ferrari.
Yes. I just saw that last week, 2 weeks ago.
Okay. Tell me about it.
I enjoyed it.
Because I caught the first 20, 30 minutes of it, and that was it. So, I can't speak at length about it, but was it good? Was it bad?
I enjoyed it.
Should I try to finish it?
I enjoyed it. It's just somewhat historical piece, but Kristen Bale and Matt Damon, I thought they were great in both their roles. I enjoyed both their characters in the movie. And I don't think it was directed by James Mangold, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
James Mangold, director I really enjoy.
Yeah.
Actually, Copland, Girl Interrupted, obviously Logan and the Wolverine. Yeah, he's a really good director. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
he was kind of the reason that got me to want to give it a go.
Oh, really?
James Mangold, actually. Yeah, because I don't know shit about cars. I'm not a car guy. I don't care about cars at all. I could care less. So it was just plot wise, it wasn't a story that interested me. But I think Christian Bale and Matt Damon are both great actors, and you got a great director behind it. And you know what? That formula worked once before when you get Ron Howard and Thor and Baron Zemo, Daniel Bruhl and Chris Hemsworth, and they made that movie Rush.
Yes.
And they actually made me care about cars and racing and all that. I was like, wow, if you do it right, you can even make a guy like me care about car racing. And here's the same formula: two actors and a director I enjoy. Let's see if they can pull it off again. And granted, I only saw the first 20, 30 minutes, but I turned it off actually.
Okay.
I was not feeling it. Like Christian Bale's character, we see him as a mechanic. Mm-hmm. And then later, the next scene, we see him, he's racing. Like, wait, what? I thought he was a mechanic. Is he a racer too? And they're like, oh, he's a racer, but he's very difficult to handle. Right. He flies off the handle. But the first scene, when there's an irate customer, he's cool as a cucumber, drinking his coffee. Like, oh, yeah, you got a problem with it. He's like so cool, can't be rattled. And then the next scene, he's like, beating his own car with a wrench. I was like, well, which is it? I didn't understand his character at all. Because in the two scenes, they're both conflicting, both with his job and with his personality type. They're both conflicting each other. And Matt Damon, I didn't even know what his deal was, other than he's not physically fit to drive a car, to sit down and shift gears. Like, how hard is it to fucking do that you didn't pass the physical, so now he can't drive anymore? And like I said, I was like, I was cooking food, and I was watching it in my kitchen, and I was done cooking, and I was like, you know what? I'm just not feeling this movie. Maybe I'll finish it later, but this was literally last night. So, and it was a red box, so it's like I have to return it. If I had more time, maybe I'd give it another shot, but I was like, I can't do it.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a huge, I'm going to say I'm a huge car guy. I know some things about cars, and, I've always heard about, Shelby and Shelby Cobra, Shelby Mustangs, all that stuff. But I didn't really.
Oh, is that who he was?
Yeah.
I only think the only thing I know about Shelby Mustangs is Gone in 60 Seconds. And I'm telling you, man, I'm not a car guy. So I know Shelby, quote unquote, Shelby Mustang is the thing from Gone in 60 Seconds. So is that who he was?
Yes.
Dude, I swear to God, John Bernthal, another actor I really like, he's Lee Iacocca.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I
was like, oh, is that who Lee Iacocca was? He's a car guy. I've heard the name. I know he's a businessman of some sort. I did not know he was involved in cars.
Okay, I'm glad you said that because I had this. I had the exact same reaction. It's like I knew the name. I've always heard the name Lee Iacocca, but I never knew what he did. Like I've always heard the name.
I had no idea what he did. Yeah, so
But
I
he was
like,
good.
oh, okay.
He was good in the role, though. I did like him playing the role. It was weird seeing him all dressed up and nice and clean cut and everything, not all
With a
grizzled.
suit, not all bloody and bruised. You can't protect him, Rick. Oh yeah. I like John Martha almost everything I see him in, and yeah, I saw up to the point where he like pitched he was like, I guess Ford wanted to buy Ferrari, so he goes to Italy. I didn't even know Ferrari was Italian, to be honest. And he pitches to Enzo Ferrari, and the only reason I know that name is because Vinny Chase played Enzo Ferrari in a movie directed by Frank Darabont in Entourage. It's not a real movie, but that's again everything I know from other movies because I'm a nerd and I don't know shit about cars. So, like I got like 20-30 minutes into it. It didn't grab me, and there was a time limit. If it was still available, I'd probably eventually finish it. It's sitting in my DVD player as we speak. But I gotta turn it in tonight by 9:00, or Redbox will charge me another $1.75, which they used to be $1. Now they're like $2.
Yeah,
fuckers.
Inflation, man.
But you think it's a good movie? You liked it?
I enjoyed
Maybe
it.
I just need to get over the hump.
I enjoyed it, but I think our differences of opinion, I think, is going to rely on the subject matter itself. Like I'm not an expert on cars, but I enjoy the subject matter, I guess. And I could watch movies about it and things like that, but I'm not a gearhead or anything like that, so I can't.
But like I said, Rush, that's a well done movie, and it's a shame that nobody saw it. And the ending, the last 5 minutes of the movie Rush are fucking perfection. You could find the ending on YouTube where James Hunt and Niki Lauda, where he runs into him at the airport at the hangar, and he tells him, and don't bring math into this, Nikki. It ruins what's beautiful about the sport and everything like that. And oh god, Rush is a really good movie, and it made me actually like get invested in car racing and cars and shit like that.
So let me ask you this: we have Ford versus Ferrari. You mentioned Rush. What about Days of Thunder?
I've never seen that from start to finish. I've only seen it in pieces.
Okay.
I've never seen. I think it's called Drive.
Drive. Oh, Driven.
Yeah. There you go. Drive is Ryan Gosling. I'm sorry. I've never. No, I mean, what other? Even Ricky Bobby, like even the racing part of it was boring to me.
What about Cars?
Cars.
Disney, Pixar, the little anime.
Oh fuck! Oh, Cars can go fuck itself, dude. I did see the first Cars. And I was like, well, dude, finally. Pixar finally fucked up. It's nice to find a flaw. Yeah, I think that was like the first official, like, bad Pixar movie was Cars. And obviously I didn't see the second one.
And somewhat timely in this, for this week, we just had the passing of Kenny Rogers. He passed away.
What?
Yeah, Kenny Rogers. He passed.
Did he?
Yeah, yesterday he passed away.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yesterday? Oh, shit. I did not hear about that.
Yeah. Natural causes. He's just... Anyway, but he was in a 1982 movie called Six Pack, and I enjoyed that movie. That's a hidden gem.
Never heard of that.
That's a hidden gem. I should have mentioned that on our old Hidden Gem episode. But
I've never heard of this movie.
Yeah.
Six Pack?
Yeah.
It's a car racing movie?
Yeah. It's fun.
Oh.
If you watch it now, you probably... I don't know how well it holds up, but it's one of those things that you just... If you grew up watching it, it's in you, I guess.
Well, R.I.P. to Kenny Rogers, man. For a taste of your whiskey. You got to know.
There you
go. Hold up.
The Gambler.
That's actually a fantastic song. Pretty much the only one of his I know. But that's a good song. Oh, shit. Anywho. So, Ford versus Ferrari. Yay from Travis. Okay. Here's another movie that we were discussing that we both actually barely... You said you want to talk about it. I barely saw it like 2 days ago. That is an animated movie.
Yes.
A DVD, animated straight to DVD movie called Superman Red Sun.
Yes.
SSON. Red Sun. Because, as we all know, Superman, by luck or fate, or call it fate, call it luck, call it karma. I believe everything happens for a reason. And Superman landed in Kansas to be found by Ma and Pa, Jonathan and Martha. Why did you say that name? Kent. And these are good people, salted people who taught their son the value of being a good person, and they raised him to be a superhero, and he became Superman, the greatest iconic hero we ever know.
Right.
But with this, it was based on a comic book by Jeff Johns. And what
was it Jeff Johns or John Michael Straczynski?
No, it's Mark Millar.
Was it him?
I think it's Mark Millar. I'm pretty sure.
I thought it was Straczynski, but I could be wrong on that.
I think it's Mark Millar. But what this movie presupposes, or the book does, is I don't know. Maybe his little spaceship was 12 hours later, and it happened to land when the Earth was in different rotation, and it landed in Soviet Russia. And he was raised sort of by the state, by Joseph Stalin himself, and to become the Superman of Russia. Mm-hmm. And so it's talk about revisionist stories, like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This is like the epitome of it.
Yeah, well, it's.
I think it's a great book.
Yeah, it is a good book, and you're right. It was Mark Millar, so I was wrong now. But yeah, it's just fun. Anytime you can get away from the standard and move into like the what ifs stories and the Elseworlds from DC. But yeah, it's just it's always a fun take to see like an alternate version of the characters that we know, and we get in this movie just about every staple Superman character that you could pretty much think of. It's in this movie, just in their own certain way, right? It's
a fun toy box to play.
It is. It really is a fun toy box. Yeah. Was there anything in particular that you liked about it, or just other than the what if storyline aspect?
I liked the casting of Amy Acker as Lois Lane. Mm-hmm. I thought that was like spot on. I thought she has a good, like a spunkiness to her voice, which is what Lois Lane has.
Yeah.
Dave Delaney was great casting. Other than that, I don't think they've really gotten the character right. Kate Bosworth or Amy Adams, none of them understand that spunk.
Yeah.
That Lois Lane as a character has. I think Amy Adams did that pretty good. When I saw Dietrich Bader was cast, my first thought was like, oh, he's a villain well, that's the thing, is they present Superman as the villain, so they cast Jason Isaacs as his voice, right, who is notoriously cast as bad guys.
Right, yeah.
And then, he's Draco Malfoy's father. He's Lucius Malfoy, for crying out loud. And then you cast Dietrich Bader as Lex, who's notoriously cast as good guys. He's the voice of the Batman, even. So it's like, you even just voice actor wise, you're setting Luthor to be the hero and Superman as a villain, which is a very interesting take in and of itself.
Yeah, and knowing the history of those characters and seeing how they're portrayed in the movie itself, it's almost fascinating to see how one little thing, in this case, him being found in Russia or landed in Russia, that one thing just sparked this whole different universe. And
yeah. And he has a childhood friend named Svetlana.
Yeah.
And I was like, in the book, she's called something different. I forget what it is. But I was like, why'd you change it to Svetlana? I mean, it's a sexy name and all. I was like, oh, Svetlana Lang. I get it. Okay, I'll give you that one. There is a few changes, and I'm not going to go beat by beat. What's different? What's the same?
Yeah. But it's interesting. We get things like Batman showing up, but it's not.
We get a Batman. We get Wonder Woman. We get the Green Lantern Corps. Yeah. We get Hal Jordan. We get a lot of things like that. And there's a lot of Brainiac. Mm. There's a lot of fun, voiced by Paul Williams, voice of the Penguin from the original Batman the Animated Series. Oh. He's the voice of Brainiac. Hmm. Yeah, he's more of a singer than an actor. He only comes out for acting gigs every once in a while. He's Brainiac. It's fun. It's interesting. One thing I remember that was changed as I saw it and as I was watching it is as soon as he realized that Stalin has these concentration camps of Russians, of sympathizers, what have you, and that's when he's like, I need to take control. I need to be the one running things, not just being a puppet of Stalin. And then he just kills Stalin.
Right.
I don't think that happens in the books. I remember there's like this plot in the book where Stalin has like a legitimate son who's heading the KGB or something like that, and whatever. But it's funny that like Superman is raised by Stalin because Stalin literally translates to Man of Steel.
Oh, it does?
The
Really?
word.
Oh.
Well, that's not his real name. That's not his birth name. His name was Zhugashvili, and he changed it to Stalin, which means Man of Steel.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah, I learned that from Daria. So, so it's but yeah, that's an interesting point that like he's working for a dude who, in real life, called himself the Man of Steel. I thought it was a pretty good adaptation. It changed things here and there, but none of it bothered me. None of it, except maybe the ending, because the book ending is so fucking good. Do you remember how the book ends?
Vaguely. I'm trying. It's been years since I've actually read it.
Yeah, it basically Luthor and Superman spend decades as adversaries. Luthor becomes president and everything like that just to defeat communist Russia. Superman Russia basically takes over almost the whole world, with America being the only holdout against it, and our economy is suffering, and we're going to shit while the whole world prospers, quote unquote, under Superman's iron fist. America's the only holdout, and we start to suck. And then Luthor becomes president, and slowly but surely he pulls America by his bootstraps into a better age, and he improves America. And then when he and Superman defeat Brainiac and all that kind of shit, he steps down, he retires. He's like, I only became president so I could defeat Superman. I'm done. So Vice President Jimmy Olsen's going to take over for me. Oh, but the book ends with like, it's like a time travel thing, and it jumps to like 1 billion years in the future, where like all the descendants of Lex Luthor send Superman back in time. Like basically they're related, and they're from the same bloodline, and they're in like a what do you call it? A paradox loop.
Okay. I don't remember this.
That's how the book ends. I wish I remembered the details better. But I was like, I remember reading it, I was like, whoa, like that's awesome. That in 1 billion years, humanity, the Earth, our sun, becomes a red sun, and we've evolved, and we're like now the new Kryptonians. And our star, the sun, is about to be destroyed, and we send our last surviving son back, basically in time, and that's Superman. Like Superman is like the great grandson of Lex Luthor. And that's how the book ends, and I was like, whoa. And the movie didn't touch on that at all. Basically, they just say Superman survived an explosion of 6 fucking black holes, and now he decides to wear glasses and go in the audience. Yeah. And I was like, oh. I mean, that's no comic book ending, which is epic. So, but beyond that, it's a fun. Yeah, it's better than Wonder Woman Bloodlines. I'll give it that.
God, yeah. You know what? This one and the last Batman one that came out, the Gotham by Gaslight. I don't know if you saw that one, but those two are,
I liked it.
Those two are good Elseworlds movies. Like if you had to pick like alternate realities of Batman and Superman, I would go with those two, because the Gotham by Gaslight's pretty cool.
I did like Gotham by Gaslight. Did you see the Batman Joker's Samurai Ninja movie?
I watched it.
I haven't downloaded it. I've never seen it because I just don't want to. I don't know why. I'm not excited about it.
So anime. Like it's so Japanese. It's like, yeah. Listen, I get it. I get what they were doing, but I wasn't invested in it. I just watched it just to watch it because it was a Batman movie. But
was it like that? It was the very first DC animated movie universe. It was Batman. It was a DVD, but it had like 7 Batman stories told in different mediums. Do you remember that one? It was like the first DC animated universe movie. It was a Batman movie with like 7 stories told. Some of them, one was like anime, one was.
You're not talking about. Sort of like, you're not talking about Gotham Knights, are you?
Is that what it's called? I think that's what it's called.
It came out around the.
I own it.
It came out around the.
It came out in the mid 2000s.
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought it came out. Or if there's one. What I'm thinking of, it's the one that came out around the Batman Begins era. It was the second one that came out,
which was 2006.
It came out after the Superman Doomsday. It was Superman Doomsday, and then the Batman one that you're thinking of.
Then maybe it was one of the first ones out the gate.
Yeah.
And so it was like Batman in different mediums, and some of the mediums I like, sort of like Matrix. sort of like the Animatrix.
Yeah.
But Batman.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah. And like some of the Animatrix I love, some of them are like, eh. And the same thing I feel about that. Some of those Batman stories I like, some of them are eh.
Yeah.
I think this Batman Ninja Samurai movie, whatever, I think it might fall under the eh. The medium just wasn't speaking to me.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
Now we're talking about 15-year-old Batman movies. You gotta say, okay, hold on. I got something I want to talk about.
Okay.
I don't think you've seen it. I watched it, half of it last night, half of it this morning. I had a red box, and it was like, you rent one, get one. So I rented Ford vs. Ferrari, and I got a freebie.
Okay.
So I thought, you know what? I'm going to fucking check this movie out. Because nobody else did. It bombed at the box office. It made like $8 million its opening weekend. It was a big bomb. But the thing is, I haven't seen a lot of reviews about it. All the regular reviews I read, YouTubers, what have you, none of them talk about it. But I hadn't heard anything bad, only that it bombed. So I was like, I'm going to watch it. So I rented Charlie's Angels. Why are you laughing?
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
I was like, if nothing else, I'll have some pretty faces to look at. And I was morbidly curious.
Okay.
Like, is it as bad as everybody says? Because nobody's saying anything bad about it because nobody saw it. There was not so much.
It came and went. It was hyped up for a little bit, and then the movie hit, and then I never heard about it again.
Yeah, I didn't. Like I said, I didn't read bad reviews. I just didn't read any reviews because nobody saw it.
Yeah.
Ironically, it came out the Ford versus Ferrari, and that's sort of what took the box office. And that's people. Apologists will say, "Oh, it's because Ford versus Ferrari was the big juggernaut that weekend, and that's what killed it." Elizabeth Banks, who actually stars and wrote and directed this movie, and I like Elizabeth Banks. Even before the movie came out, she kind of went on record and said, quote unquote, but not word for word, if this movie fails, it just proves that the public doesn't like female-led action movies. Mm-hmm. Which is kind of bullshit. Yeah. I mean, Wonder Woman made, like, what, 800 million or something like that?
Yeah.
Ghostbusters, they tried the same line. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's they don't like women.
It's these pesky guys. They just hate women. They don't want to support women.
Yeah.
That's what it came. That's what it. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I heard that. I saw the same quotes that she was doing there.
So you haven't seen Charlie's Angels?
No, I haven't. Because I'm a guy.
Okay. Then you would not like it.
Yeah.
Because this movie does not like guys.
Oh, really?
It's not even just that they clearly have an agenda.
Okay.
And it's about empowering women. The scene opens the movie opens with a scene where Kristen Stewart has like a big blonde wig and a slutty dress, and she's acting all like, "Ha ha ha! I'm just a stupid girl," having dinner with a guy.
She's acting,
basically saying, she's trying to.
Okay.
I'll get to her in a second, but she's undercover. I'm undercover, so she's undercover, and she's basically acting like a ditzy female to infiltrate some dude. So she's having dinner with him, and the guy's like, you're a woman. You should know your place as a woman. And it's just so on the nose. And then she starts to kick his ass, and other angels bust in, and they kick all the men's ass, and she pulls off her wig. And we get the Kristen Stewart with the short bleached hair that we've been getting lately. Yeah. And it's very, I'm a feminist. I love women empowerment. Buffy the Vampire Slayer is my favorite television show of all time. I just quoted how much I love Daria not a few minutes ago. I have no problem with that. Right. But they're just so heavy-handed with how women can do anything and be anything. And we save the world so much. Maybe you should call us ex-women. If that line got turned into a movie, is sort of what this is. And the thing is, this movie tries to build up women by tearing down men. Every man in this movie is not only a villain, but a douchebag. And I mean, like, even nameless guards who have zero lines find a way to become a douchebag. There's a scene where one of the angels, like, busts down from the ceiling, and there's just this guard standing there, and he looks at the angel, and he turns and he looks at the wall, and there's, like, a Maxim poster of, like, a slutty woman. And it kind of resembles the Charlie Angel who just jumped down, and then he looks back at the Charlie's Angel, and the Charlie's Angel just goes, "You wish," boom, and knocks him out. This is a nameless character with 0 lines, but they still find a way to make him look like a chauvinist pig because he just associates women as bikini models and shit like that. And that one little moment kind of sums up what this movie is and its whole MO.
Gotcha.
All the villains are men, and I was surprised to learn though this is technically a part 3 in the franchise. It acknowledges that the old Charlie's Angels existed, or this is the same universe. Yeah,
gross.
Because I don't know if this was explained in the other 2 movies, but Bosley is a rank in the Charlie's Angels agency.
What?
Anybody could be in the first movie, the 2000-ish Charlie's Angels movie, it was Bill Murray, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think I saw that movie, but it was under duress, like at someone's house or maybe on a plane. And I never saw Charlie's Angel Full Throttle, but it was Bernie Mac who was Bosley in that movie. So Bosley is not a character; it's like a rank. It's like a handler. And this movie basically says, like, it opens with like where Kristen Stewart's doing her thing, and then Patrick Stewart walks in because he's Bosley, and then he retires. And then it's like that scene in Avengers where Samuel L. Jackson is talking to all these heads of state on monitors. Turns out there's Bosleys all over the world.
Oh.
And Djimon Hounsou is a Bosley, Elizabeth Banks is a Bosley, and everything like that. And Patrick Stewart retires, and they're like, I put together this little reel of pictures to show your history, and they show like a really young Patrick Stewart with hair, and then they show like a younger Patrick Stewart arm in arm with Lucy Liu and Cameron Diaz in some of the worst fucking Photoshop I've ever seen. So they're saying that the Charlie's Angels, the Drew Barrymore, Lucy Liu was a thing, and it did exist. So this is technically a sequel, not a reboot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't have a whole lot of love for the franchise anyways, but this is, I guess.
Yeah. I was just really curious. And to answer your question, the other 2 angels are pretty much nobodies. Ella Balinska, I don't know. She's 5'10", and she's lovely, but there's not much to her. Naomi Scott, who recently played Princess Jasmine, who I think is adorable. And I've had a thing for her ever since Terra Nova. Remember that shitty show?
Oh, yeah. Remember that.
Yeah, she was in that. She's lovely. And she's actually not that bad. And then... But they're both kind of nobodies. I think the star power was really put on Kristen Stewart's shoulders, who tries to be funny. It's like she's trying to be Ryan Reynolds. She's always the one with the quippy line and the funny observation, things like that. But the thing is, she's not an inherently funny person, and she doesn't have the timing, and she's kind of an awkward actress. She's kind of an awkward person. It's Kristen Stewart,
right? Yeah,
and trying to be this life of the party, always saying something funny. It's not within her bailiwick to do, and I don't think it works. I think she was a little miscast. You know, she's tried to, after Twilight, she tried to become an indie darling and prove that she's a serious actor, and she's pretty much succeeded at that, and people like her. And this is her first foray back into mainstream Hollywood, big budget special effects movies, and it didn't work. So I hope she goes back to doing the indie shit because she's good there.
So do you think, okay, so her performance, because you're saying you think it worked with her being an indie darling, but then going back into doing a blockbuster movie that bombed, do you think it just bombed just in general? Or do you think it's because of nobody was asking for a Charlie's Angels movie, nobody wanted to see Kristen Stewart, nobody cared about what's going on? Do you think all that just factored into this movie, just shitting the bed?
I think it's both.
Yeah.
I think yeah, you're right. We weren't clamoring for Charlie's Angels to come back. I think gosh, this is what's hard as a male to talk about it. Because if I say anything negative, it's because you're a male and you're hating women. I don't think it was clamoring for this. I think in this Me Too era of women empowerment, you know, Wonder Woman is. Let's get a woman director to direct Wonder Woman. Let's get a woman director to direct Captain Marvel, and let's prove that women can be strong, and we're not going to sit and tolerate it. We just talked about Harvey Weinstein finally getting convicted, shit like that. This was a good time for this movie to come out, but it should have just been a movie on its own. It didn't need to be so heavy-handed with the feminist agenda, because it's almost doing a disservice to women when they did it so heavy-handedly. Like, just put some good women on screen, and we'll like them, but don't at the same time only make them strong because they're stepping on men. And there's other examples of the, you know, there's a scene where they're trying to where Naomi Scott's going to work, And the security guard is like, "Oh, I have to frisk you," kind of a thing before he lets her in, and he dies. But it's okay that he dies later because we establish he's a creep and an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, it's because we establish he's a man, and that's what this is. And there's like this spoiler alert. There's a twist where we're starting to think Elizabeth Banks might be a traitor, and Patrick Stewart, who's now retired, sniffs her out. But it turns out, Patrick Stewart's the villain in the movie. But it's like, of course he is, because he's a man. And of course the guy who owns the company who's creating the MacGuffin of the movie, which is these stupid devices that I won't even bore you with, is also a man. And the scientist guy who's the boss who's marketing this thing that's not ready to go public, that could take over the world, is a guy. Snapbacks. All the bad guys are guys. It's I could see had the public watched this, there would have been a lot more hate for it. I think the best thing this movie could have done was the fact that nobody saw it, because now it'll just go down in history as being forgotten. Had people actually seen it, it would go down in history as being like a big slap in the face of feminism, because it overplayed their hand, I think.
Yeah, and I think that's what I remember hearing that line that she was basically giving herself an out before the movie came out with Elizabeth Banks. I remember she was saying that if it doesn't do any good, it's because the men out there just isn't ready to see a female-led movie or whatever the fuck she said. I was like, you know what? If you're already making an excuse before this movie comes out, I don't even care. I don't want to be the bad guy here, but I'll sit this one out.
The bad man.
Yeah, I'll sit this one out. No,
by man I mean person with a penis.
The bad white man, to be exact.
Ooh, gosh, yeah.
Wow.
Because you got Kristen Stewart,
and I got red hair.
Not
in
Hollywood,
Hollywood, I'd be a dead man. Jeez, I'm done in Hollywood. Ugh.
I mean, you got Elizabeth Banks, blonde hair. You got Kristen Stewart, Nazi post boy, blonde hair, blue eyes. Actually, she has very beautiful green eyes. And you got Elsa Polinska, she's British, but I think she's black, or maybe at least muted a little bit. And then you got Naomi Scott, who's half Indian. So the racist agenda, I don't think this movie has anything to do with race.
Yeah. Because
2/3 of the angels are ethnic, and so I think they skirted that issue. It became purely a gender issue with this movie. The main assassin guy is a guy. All the villains in the movie are guys. The only good guys in the movie either die or are very subservient to the women. Let me do anything I can to help you out, my precious woman. There's literally a character who's like, there's like a safe house and it's manned by a guy. And he's like, they show up and he's all like, I prepared this feast for you. Let me give you a massage. Do you need to talk? I'm a licensed psychotherapist. He's just like the most subservient male you can imagine. So basically he's a fictional male. This character would not exist in real life. But in this movie, because he's the only good male in the movie, it's just so heavy-handed. Yeah. And like I said, Kristen Stewart can't handle the quippiness, she's trying to be Ryan Reynolds. She's failing. The action is kind of boring. Elizabeth Banks is a director, sure, but an action director, to make action scenes compelling, takes a unique certain talent.
Right.
And I don't think she's there yet, so the action scenes are a little boring. She's literally like the opposite of John Woo, who knows action but doesn't know how to make like characters. So you got that. Basically. Yeah, I think it's as bad as people assumed it was going to be. Okay. And that's my take.
Let me ask you this. I haven't seen this movie yet, but Birds of Prey, I don't need you to go, like, we're not going to go into it or anything, but would you consider Birds of Prey in the same vein of feminism, evil man tone? Or is it... Because I've heard similar things about Birds of Prey, that it's a feminist flick.
Well, I'm glad you're talking about Birds of Prey. Now we can delve into it. So, Birds of Prey... no, to answer your question, a little bit, yeah.
Okay.
The men are all the bad guys at the bin, and they underestimate the women, and they demean the women, they cheapen them, and it's all about female pride. It is, I guess, because like Birds of Prey, I guess because all the characters were already established comic book wise, so it was a little easier to accept it. It's like they threw too much of it at once.
Yeah.
Like, yes, Harley Quinn is a strong female character. Huntress is a strong female character. Black Canary is a Renee Montoya. But then when you throw them all in at once, I think it's a bit too much. And Ewan McGregor is the villain. He's okay. He doesn't really do anything. He just, I'm a bad guy. That's about it. His American accent's getting a little better. I'll give him that. I'm not... Okay, Suicide Squad. Did you like Margot Robbie's portrayal of Harley Quinn?
I like looking at her. But, I mean, she was fine, like, as a character without... If I take out the history of the character of what I know, yeah, she was fine.
Oh, so really, it was the history of the character was the only thing that made me enjoy her, was because I knew the history. I pulled everything I liked about Harley Quinn.
Well, okay, that's probably what I'm. That's probably the mindset I'm having. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to take away, like, I guess, appearances and things like that. Yeah, I guess they did capture the essence of Harley Quinn, I guess. But I guess
I don't think she translated good or well to the live screen, because every iteration of Harley Quinn has been animated. So you've got either Arlene Sorkin or Tara Strong doing an animated voice, a rendition. And Margot Robbie tried to do the same thing. But when you hear it in live action, a human being speaking like this, Mr. J, it's a little silly. You know?
a little bit.
I think she works better as an animated character because that's how she's only ever existed in comics. So to see her live action trying to bring it up to a 10 level of talking like this, it's a little annoying, to be honest.
And she has, it's basically the same in Birds of Prey, right? Her perform, like the way she portrays Harley Quinn. Okay.
Yeah. Like, does she get up in the morning and put on ridiculous outfits? And I mean ridiculous outfits. Not as skimpy and sexy. Yeah. Because this was produced by women, this is directed by women, so she's a bit more modest than the little Daisy Dukes and shit that she was wearing in Suicide Squad. It's sort of like how Sally Jenkins' Wonder Woman, the Amazons look like, cool. And then when Zack Snyder has Justice League, the Amazons are basically like in bikinis and shit. Because a man's directing it, so the man's going to make the Amazons look all skimpy. A man directed Suicide Squad, David Ayer, so he makes her look all skimpy. But in this movie, it's a woman directing it, so Harley Quinn wears like overalls and shit.
Yeah. The day after Birds of Prey came out, there's pictures of her. She was already on set of Suicide Squad 2 as Harley Quinn. So it was like she hasn't stopped playing the damn role yet.
Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Huntress, I think was great. I think it was great casting. She's barely in the movie though, which is a shame because she's probably the most interesting character she's basically got like a Bruce Wayne back. She's basically fucking Batman. She saw her whole family get gunned down as a child, and she spent all of her adolescence and her youth training to become a badass. She's kind of like a female Batman, and they barely touch on her.
So they're doing their
as Helena,
like own version of Huntress, I guess.
No, Helena Bertolini or something like that. She's a mobster's daughter.
Yeah. And
her mobster father and family, like, they all got gunned down, and she witnessed it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I was thinking of something else.
So, yeah. So she's kind of like a Bruce Wayne character in her arc, whereas she's out to get vengeance against she knows who the people who killed her were. Like, if Bruce Wayne knew who Joe Chill was, he would have killed him. But he just decides to wreak vengeance on crime, like, in general. She's super interesting. She's barely in it. Black Canary is Black Canary in name only. There's nothing about her character that resembles her comic, and it's like literally in the last 10 minutes of the movie, she uses her canary cry. And if you didn't know who she was in the comic, you'd be like, what the fuck? This chick can just scream and do the what? Like, it came out of nowhere. It's just assuming you know who she is. She doesn't wear the leather jacket. She doesn't wear the fishnet tights, which is, to me, come on, that makes Black Canary. Does she do that in the Arrow show? She's in the show, right? Isn't Katie Cassidy play her?
I want to say at some point we saw her in fishnets, but it's more of like it was more black leather shit. Now I'm thinking about it. Yeah, it was like black leather stuff. Yeah.
Oh, and I'm sorry, Rosie Perez. She's a little too old to be Montoya.
I was never a fan of Rosie Perez.
I've never been a fan of her either. I like the character Renee Montoya.
Yeah,
but
me too.
You know, I hate to say it. Get Jennifer Lopez. I can almost believe her she's old enough that Rosie Perez is like 60. I don't believe her as a beat cop who can still kick ass, who kicks Harley Quinn's ass.
She would be around that age now, wouldn't she?
Yeah, she's old.
Yeah. I thought when I remember,
you know what? Isa Gonzalez.
Yeah.
From Dust Till Dawn and Baby Driver. Oh gosh, she would have been the perfect Montoya. I saw her. I've actually been binging Batman the Animated Series for a few months now. Every once in a while, I'll put one on, and I saw like the episode Harley and Ivy, and as they're escaping, and Renee Montoya tries to chase them, and she crashes, and she's like, "Que mala suerte." I'm like, they gave Renee Montoya a line because this episode of Batman the Animated Series is about women and about female empowerment. Right. So of course they'll get chased by a female cop, and she'll actually get a line, and it's crazy because that's like an early version of what we're talking about with Charlie's Angels and Harley Quinn. And that episode of Batman is like, let's just focus on the women. Yeah. Batman's barely in this.
Well, I thought when I heard the name Rosie Perez in the movie, I was like, what the fuck? I thought that was a weird casting choice just in general because where's she been at for?
Is she still working?
Yeah, exactly. That's what
I haven't heard of her in like a decade. Like White Man Can't Jump was like the last thing I heard of her. Or something. Yeah, she doesn't really bring much, and I don't buy her. And there's this kid. The whole movie, the MacGuffin of this movie is like this little kid.
I guess we are deep diving in this movie. Okay.
Cassandra Cain, does that name me anything?
Yeah, she's a character. Like in the comics. Yeah.
Well, she sucks. They cast the most annoying little kid to play her, and it's kind of like Deadpool 2. Oh, let's give this R-rated character who's a badass a kid's sidekick. Yeah. Because that works so well. I don't know. I didn't care for that in Deadpool 2. The kid, did he annoy you?
The kid?
The addition to a kid?
No, it's fine. For what it was.
Well, this kid, I didn't care for that then. I didn't care for this now. I don't care for kids. I don't like kids. I didn't even like kids when I was a kid. Except you.
Oh.
So adding a kid to the mix does what for the plot? I don't know. And they keep they talk about the Joker. They say the words "the Joker" so much in this movie.
Is he in it?
And no. He's a presence in the movie because there's this. Okay, the movie starts off. She's broken up. It's almost in the Star Wars text scroll. She's broken up with the Joker since then, so he's not around. Yeah. But she doesn't tell anybody that she's broken up with the Joker because nobody's gonna fuck with Harley Quinn because she's Joker's babe. Yeah. And then she does this thing that basically announces to the whole city of Gotham, me and the Joker are quits. And now it's open season on Harley Quinn because she's stepped on a lot of toes in her time. So the whole movie, like, randomly, people just show up like, Harley Quinn, I'm here to kill you. Because, now it's open season on you. So that's like a lot of the action. Like, let's just have a random action scene here. Because the guy just shows up and says, I'm going to kill you. I didn't love it. I mean, I don't love most DC movies. I don't like the tone they've been doing. So, but this is a little heavy-handed too.
Does it follow the style of Suicide Squad at all, or is it just its own thing?
You thought Suicide Squad had style? Wow.
It didn't have a lot of stuff. I'll say it at least had style. Well, it'll try to have style, but. You know what I'm talking about.
I think the trailer made you think it had style.
So you know what I'm saying. Like, did it have any of that in this, or is it its own thing?
No, not really. There was nothing. I wasn't grooving on nothing about this.
Okay, that's fair. I'll see it eventually at some point, I'm sure. But
yeah, and I'd love to hear. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Anyways, we're approaching the end. Is there any? You said you saw Jumanji 2.
Oh, yeah.
I don't imagine I'm going to see Jumanji 2 anytime soon, but I'd love to hear what you think about
it. Some of it was what I thought it was going to be whenever I first saw the trailers for it, which was just rehashing some of the same jokes from the first one. And the whole gag this time was Kevin Hart and The Rock. Their characters that are playing them in the video game is Danny DeVito and
Who's Danny Glover and who's Danny DeVito?
Danny Glover is Kevin Hart. Danny DeVito is The Rock.
And who is Karen Gillan? Is she still the same chick?
Not at first. They switched it around a couple times in the movie, so forgive me.
Who's Jack Black?
Jack Black this time is the jock, the black dude, Jack.
Okay,
yeah.
the fridge or whatever he is.
But anyway, what I thought was gonna happen kind of happened a little bit, which was the joke of The Rock and Kevin Hart acting like DeVito and fuck the other guy. I just said his name.
Glover.
God damn it. Them acting like them.
Roger Murtaugh, man.
I know. Them acting like them.
Riggs.
It was gonna get old after a while, and it kind of did.
Did it get old? Okay.
But everything else around it, they kind of switched up some things, and they had there's some nice moments in the movie and some funny moments in the movie. There's a kind of a nice heartwarming moment towards the end with their characters, Danny Glover and Danny DeVito's characters in the game. So I don't know. I don't want to get into it though.
Who are Danny Glover and Danny DeVito in the story?
So
are they like the grandfathers of the characters?
You remember the main guy that was The Rock in the first movie, right? The main kid.
Yeah. Molly. Sorry, that's the actor's name. Okay, so he's his grandfather,
and Danny Glover is
like the grandfather of the.
Yeah, you think so, right? You would think so. No, what it is, yeah, Danny DeVito.
I don't know. You're nodding like I should know.
You're not gonna know.
Oh, he's his gay lover.
Damn it! You saw it, right?
Wait, seriously?
No, just kidding. No.
Oh God, I was like, what? Really?
That's really progressive.
I'm so confused.
No.
Who is Danny Glover in this movie?
Him and Danny DeVito were business partners. They owned a restaurant, and they had like a falling.
And we're gay lovers.
Yeah, that too. They had a falling out.
Wait. Be okay. 100% serious. Are they gay lovers in this movie?
Not. No.
Oh God, well, you keep saying like yes. Danny DeVito and Danny Glover. Oh, they're both named Danny. Oh, Danny. Oh yeah, Danny. Oh, Danny. Oh, Danny. Now you're picturing it.
So you saw it? No, just kidding.
I was. Quit doing that.
No, but
I can't tell if you're joking.
No, it was fine. It was continuing the hijinks of what we saw in the first movie, and it was fun. I didn't mind it. I did not like it. So I would if you like the first one,
that's high praise.
If you like the first one, you'll like this one too. And I think they set it up for a third movie. Do you care about spoilers or anything, or?
No.
Okay. Did you watch the original movie in the 90s?
I did.
So in that.
Wait. In the original movie in the 90s, Robert Williams. No, I've never seen
really?
it.
Okay. Well, I mean,
I saw the last Jumanji movie. With
okay.
Rock
So, like the difference between these movies and that original movie was in the 90s, the Jumanji world came into the real world, right? And that's why you saw the giant beast, rummer.
Like rhinoceroses and shit running through the streets. I remember that from the trailer.
They're kind of teasing that at the end, like the next movie is gonna take place in the real world, not inside the video game.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, I've actually never seen Robin Williams' Jumanji.
Really? Wow, it's kind of surprising.
Yeah, never. I saw Zathura.
I never saw that one
because it had a teenage Kristen Stewart who I thought was really hot at the time. That's kind of. Kristen Stewart is a born actress and she's an awkward person. I won't begrudge her that she's kind of a smoke show. She's really pretty.
Yeah, I'll give her. Yeah, she's pretty. Yeah, I'll give you that. But fuck, man, she's most awkward person I've ever seen do interviews or act or anything.
Yeah, it's just yeah. You can't see me. I'm doing a great Kristen Stewart, but most of it involves tucking my head up.
Now that she shaved her head, does she still do the hair thing, even though she doesn't have any hair?
I do not know, but did that movie that she shaved her head for, where she's like it's like the Abyss?
Yeah,
or
it's like
something,
underwater or some shit.
Did that come out already?
I don't fucking know. We could look it up. I don't know. Did it?
I knew she shaved her head for this movie where she plays like an underwater person. She's like the Abyss or something. Underwater oil rig or something like that. I forget what it's called. It's probably called Underwater.
It's called Underwater.
Are you fucking kidding me? Oh my god. Maybe, okay, subconsciously I must have known that because I really just meant it as a joke. Jesus Christ. That's the name of the movie?
Came out January 10th.
Oh, it must have came and went. Was that with the early coronavirus? I don't know, but yeah. Wow.
I saw like 2 commercials for it, and that was it. Like, I've never heard of this movie.
Yeah, the marketing dropped the ball on that one because I remember hearing about it was going to come out because she shaved her head, and where did it go? I don't know. Anyways.
Kristen Stewart, Vincent Cassel, T.J. Miller, Jessica Henwick, John Gallagher Jr.
I like him. He's in The Newsroom. He was in that movie where the office blows up heads. Vincent Cassel, he's French. He's a bad guy in Ocean's 12. He's a good actor. He's married to Monica Bellucci, so tip my hat to that man.
Right? Yeah.
Fucking nailed the whale. Who else is in it?
T.J. Miller.
T.J. Miller? Oh, he's on the shit list of everybody right now.
Jessica Henwick.
He got me too'd. Jessica Henwick. She's from Kung Fu Iron Fist. Yeah. She's beautiful.
Yeah. I thought she was a star of that show, actually.
She's great. She's great in Iron Fist. Yeah. She's in Game of Thrones.
Is she?
They fucking they wasted her character. She's one of the sand snakes. Oberyn Martell's daughters, the 3 daughters who are trying to get. Yeah, she's one of them. You're a greedy bitch. You know that?
Oh, okay. I know you're talking. Okay.
Yeah, that's her. Yeah, she's beautiful.
But yeah, Underwater. That's the name of the movie.
Fair enough. I got one more thing I want to talk about. I don't think you haven't seen it, but I have. Have you seen like this wave? It's been over a decade, more than that, even of like Garfield, Scooby Doo, and Marmaduke, and Smurfs, where there's like this family friendly movie where there's like a CGI lovable character in it.
Right.
I haven't seen almost any of those.
Yeah.
I've seen pieces of Scooby Doo's because I love Linda Cardellini and some Michelle Gellar. I haven't seen Garfield. I haven't seen Smurfs. Anything like that. But Sonic the Hedgehog came out, and I had no plans to see this.
Yeah.
But it sort of came across my plate. It was there, and I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Let me just watch the opening just to see how they try to how do they explain what Sonic the Hedgehog is. You know, Super Mario Brothers notoriously fucked that up back in the early 90s. Let me see what their take on it is. So I watched it, and I saw their take, and I was like, that's fine. But this character is kind of fun. He's voiced by Ben Schwartz, an actor not a lot of people know. Most people might know him as John Ralphio from Parks and Recreation. And he also voices one of the 3 Huey, Dewey, and Louie on the DuckTales remake. But he's hilarious on Parks and Recreation. I mean, fucking hilarious. And James Marsden plays like he's starring as the human in the movie. And then you got Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik. I thought this movie was surprisingly fun and enjoyable. Actually, really fun and really enjoyable. Jim Carrey is like, oh my god, this is old school Jim Carrey. This is him digging deep and pulling the talents that made the world love him back in the day.
I got the sense of that from the trailers I saw. I was like, oh, he's doing a lot of his stuff. Yeah.
He's good. Like I there's lines that he says in this movie that I'm going to pull and I'm going to say in my everyday life.
Oh shit.
Oh no. You just stay here. You just sit here and you be you. Sliss. Like, I'm going to say that to people. He's funny. He's got the ridiculous mustache and he's just so over the top.
Let me ask you this. Are you, as far as the video game, did you ever play Sonic? Like, do you know, like, I know you're a Sega guy, right? So obviously I would imagine that you played it at least once. One of the games, right? Help me out here.
I have, a couple years ago, I got a little drunk and I was like, I want to play Sonic. So I went online and I bought, like, from Target.com, one of them little bitty, I guess, simulators.
Right, yeah.
It was of a Sega Genesis that had all the Sonics on it. That was the only reason I bought it, because it had the Sonics on it. Even though I still still own, and I still do own, they're in my closet right now, all the Sonic games
There you go.
that you could put in there.
Yeah.
Dude, I have a stuffed toy of Sonic that I keep on my shelf that I was given to me as a gift. I was into Sonic so much as a kid that like my uncle bought it for me. He was like, hey, you like Sonic a lot. I'm like 11. I'm like, cool. And I've held on to that thing for like almost 30 years now.
I didn't know that.
Dude, I love fucking Sonic. So so the franchise was a little precious to me. Not a lot, because I'm not a video game guy. You know, I haven't played a video game since I was a teenager.
Right.
But in my youth, when I was heavy into video games, Sonic was my go-to. He was my boy.
Yeah.
So I felt a little precious about it. And I really respected the studio that when the initial trailer came out and the design, like, nobody liked it, and there was this big outcry of like, no, that looks terrible. The studio's like, okay, then, you know what? We'll change it.
Yeah.
We heard your feedback, and we're going to change it. And I was like, that's kind of cool that the studio did that. They spent their own money to accommodate the fans.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I thought it was important to support Sonic.
Yeah. I did remember that, and I was going to ask you if you knew about all that, about the behind-the-scenes shit where they just totally revamped the whole design of the character. The new design, it worked for you in the movie?
It looked really good, except I was like, why are his sneakers like white? And then there's a whole scene like halfway through where he's presented with the red sneakers, and I was like, yes, like that's fucking Sonic. He looks like Sonic, and he's funny, and he's energetic because he's a fucking fast guy. He's what Quicksilver should have been in the X-Men. That's how Quicksilver should be. He should be like random with quick jokes because he's fast and his mind works faster than anybody.
Yeah.
And they basically rip off X-Men. Like there's a whole scene where Sonic is in a bar and like something happens, a punch is about to get thrown, and Sonic runs over the whole bar. And he does that scene from X-Men where they're breaking Magneto out, and he's like, angling. He moves people's arms, and he moves this, and he moves a bullet, Except Sonic is like pulling, he's like giving a wedgie, like he's pulling his underwear out. He's doing all this fun shit. And it's the same scene, but it's still cool, and it's still fun. James Marsden, come on, this guy's he's just so likable on screen. It's not even about him, but you need a guy who's likable for movies like these. That's why they got like Neil Patrick Harris in Smurfs and shit like that, because he's just a generally likable guy. James Marsden is great. Jim Carrey is hilarious. The character of Sonic really works. They really help set up a future. They really set up a franchise without making it feel forced. It felt organic. Like there will obviously be a sequel because of this and this and this, which are elements of the story, not just something they threw in at the last second to set up a franchise.
Is there
obviously, do you want to know?
Well, no, I was gonna say, is there any like post-credit scenes or anything, or if I watch
I think it's post-credit. I think it's just the last scene of the movie.
Okay,
but do you want to know?
No, don't spoil it for me, because you piqued my interest in seeing this movie now. So, I mean, I was gonna watch it eventually, but now you made me put it more on my priority list. So
it's fun, and yeah. Although maybe I should go rewatch it. Maybe I should go actually watch like Marmaduke and Garfield and Smurfs. Maybe they're fun too. Doubt it. Alvin and the Chipmunks. I mean, there's like so many of these. It's almost a genre unto itself. Alvin and the Chipmunks and Smurfs.
Watch Paddington Bear or Paddington.
There's another one.
Paddington. Watch that one. That one's good.
I haven't seen it. Probably won't. Really? Is it good?
The first one is. Yeah. Second one's alright.
You've seen both of them.
Yeah. Well, because I like the first one. So.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, I'm going to see the second Sonic probably in the theater because I actually enjoyed the first one so much.
Wow. That's high praise.
Yeah. Actually, I watched the Harley Quinn movie because it just became available online on a shared streaming site that I frequent. It's porn. So Harley Quinn, and I was like, let me watch this Harley Quinn movie, and I noticed Sonic was also available. I was like, let me just watch the opening. And I stuck with it for the whole time because I was just having so much fun. Yeah, Sonic.
Not that we condone that kind of viewing habits here, but
Of watching porn?
Well, that too. But
What? Whoa! I'll defend porn till the day I die. That's my lifeblood.
is that going to call it a show? Or get in on that
On
note?
that note, I'm a lifelong bachelor. I'm sorry. On that note, support anti-coronaviruses and porn. Yeah, I think that's going to wrap it up.
Yes, I think that's going to call it a show. So, hope you guys enjoyed us rambling about some movies. If you haven't done so already, hit the like and subscribe button to anywhere you get your podcast from. Follow us on social media at facebook.com/popculturerewind. And just be safe out there. Don't, we'll get through all this corona.
Keep your social distance, I guess, is the best advice.
6 feet away, I guess. Yeah.
Groups of 10 or less,
Yeah.
I think is the rule.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah, this is a crazy thing that I was going to say this country, but the whole world is going through right now.
Yeah.
But we'll get through it. I'm confident it'll pass, and it'll become something we just refer to as, like, remember that time.
And then after this, dude, the economy is going to blow up because everybody's going to be out, like, going crazy, buying shit and going nuts.
People are saying that, like, this is going to be sort of like how, like, the baby boomers came about because it came after the war, like, because everybody's staying home right now. Everybody's fucking and making babies right now. Like, I read that they're going to anticipate this is going to be a major surge in births in, 9 months.
Yeah.
I mean, there's things called, condoms and pulling out, but whatever.
On that note,
okay.
We're going to wrap this one up. So, again, hope you guys enjoy this show. Until next time, always remember to pop your culture. Oh, man. I just remembered I was going to talk about, when we're talking about the whole corona shit, I was going to mention how the media trying to put everybody in a state of panic. Matter of fact, it got to the point where the local news over here in Houston on their Facebook page, they changed their on Facebook you have like the cover image that for their logo and stuff on their profile, and they put it where it says coronavirus. But the way they did it, I shit you not, dude, like the backdrop was like a dark red, like a maroon red, and like the font was like almost like a Walking Dead font. Like they used, like they were like the image of coronavirus. It was like the image of it, of just seeing that, was to invoke fear, like to invoke this is this is gonna kill us all.
As in, they expect people to fear The Walking Dead.
You got it.
Do you know they're making a new spinoff of that, but it's like teenage oriented?
Yeah,
I've heard about. I've only read about it, but yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't care about the other spinoff. I didn't even care about the original show anymore. So
yeah, I'm still watching the original show just out of habit, but I barely.
It's still on.
Yeah,
the original show's still on.
Yeah.
Is Rick died, right?
He didn't die.
Andy Lincoln's not in the show anymore.
He's not in the show, but he didn't die.
Don't tell me. One day I'll sit down and I'll finish.
No, you're not.
Don't tell me. One day I will. When I'm like 60 and retired, and you know what? Fuck it. Let me put on this. Let me just type something in because DVDs and shit won't exist anymore. Let me virtually scan it into my eyeballs or something like that.
Let me hack it.
And I'll binge the series from the beginning. And I'll be like, hey, John Berthel, I remember that dude. He's governor now. Isn't that awesome? I'd vote for him.
Yeah. No, dude, on the show, there's only 2 people left from season 1.
Daryl?
Yeah.
And who's Carol?
Yep.
Oh my god, Daryl and Carol. Oh wow. Well, I mean, not like that was a big list of choose. Wait, so Carl died?
Yeah, he's gone.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Coral. Yeah, Coral died.
Coral's dead. Huh, that's interesting. Why isn't that kid gone on to start a movie career? Chandler Riggs, something like that. The actor's name.
Yeah.
He's young. He's got some notoriety.
I could be mistaken, but I thought he left the show to like not act, to like go back to like college and shit.
Oh.
Maybe I I may be wrong on that, but I think I heard something about that.
Good for him. Wait a few years, come back.
Yeah. Michonne is still there, but she's leaving. Yeah.
Disassociate yourself from the show a little bit because it's sort of there's a stink about it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, smart move. So Michonne's so I guess she's not fucking in Rick anymore.
No, they had a kid though.
What?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm gonna watch it one day. God damn it. Anyways.
If it helps, like the kid's not even in the fucking show. Like you'll see him like in the background at some point. Like, oh, I forget they have a fucking kid. Like
what happened to the other kid, the other baby that he had with Lori before Lori died?
Judith, yeah, she's still there.
So
she's
toddler running around doing nothing.
Oh no, they did like a 5-year time jump. So no, she's like
what?
Yeah,
they did a time jump.
Five-year time jump, yeah.
So Walker's still a thing in 5 years?
Yeah.
Oh, God. What are they, fucking One Tree Hill? You ever watch One Tree Hill?
No.
After they graduated, I did, religiously. And after high school, they did a 4-year time jump. And then the next season is just like, it's like they saw Saved by the Bell the college years and were like, we are not doing that. We are just going to leapfrog over the Saved by the Bell the college years version of our show. And now it's 4 years later and they have careers and jobs and shit like that. And that's sort of when I started to tune out. And then the show ran for like another 5 fucking years. But the first half of One Tree Hill, I'm doing the Wakanda Forever, One Tree Hill Forever. I was heavy into the One Tree Hill for the first like 4 years.
Did you
till they killed Keith?
Did you ever revisit? Spoilers? No. Did you ever revisit it afterwards? Does it hold up?
No. But I remember as the show was airing live. I remember this was back in the day when like IMDb message boards were a thing, and I would watch the show as it aired with my laptop, and I'd be like chiming, making messages, and it was like a forum, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know what the equivalent today is. I'm not a big internet guy, Reddit or something, but like I would be like, oh my god, this scene, and I'd be live chatting with people through IMDb message boards as the show was airing back in like 2005 or something like that.
Well, now you have Reddit, or you can even do that on Twitter and
oh yeah, Twitter. Yeah. I forgot that was a thing.
That was wonderful.
Bravo!
I loved that.
Oh, it was great.
Well, it was pretty good.
Well, it wasn't bad.
Well, there were parts of it that weren't very good, though.
It could have been a lot better.
I didn't really like it.
It was pretty terrible.
It was bad.
It was awful.
It was terrible.
Get him away!
Hey, boo!